The West Ham Massive are pleased to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham fans and friends inspired by the work of other football food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for a Newham Food Bank in Beckton, who supplies sub-distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thanks for your support. Come on, you Irons. Oh, hang on. I need to press that button to get rid of that. We can edit this bit out. They'll never know. They'll never know. So I can start and go 3, 2, 1, let's go. So, welcome to the West Ham Massive, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. As always, please don't forget to like, comment on, and share this stream to your social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and make sure you hit that bell icon for alerts on new content. And don't forget to click all. And we always thank you very much indeed for your support in this matter. We are here. Before I'll get this bit out of the way, we might let the odd curse words slip out. So if you're of a nervous disposition, you might want to fuck off now. That's basically what I'm saying. So Premier League, match day 11 of 38. We travel to the G-Tech Community Stadium. We face the mighty Bees, Brentford Football Club. I'm joined by my brother, Ben. Ben, your thoughts on Brentford as far as this season's concerned, my friend? Have you been impressed with them, or have obviously had to contend with the loss of Ivan Toney? What have you thought?
Yeah, mate, pretty much as like I say, dealing with the loss of Ivan Toney is a big loss for them, but they seem to have coped with it fairly well. I was just looking at the form table, and they've won their last 2. Obviously, they've beat Chelsea away from home last week, kept a clean sheet. And I think they'll be coming into this game very confident off the back of that. And they sit one place behind us in the table. And I think, they've turned into a real kind of established Premier League team because they've got a good manager and have recruited some real good players.
Yep, absolutely. The one thing I would say about Brentford is when we've played them, and it might just be stylistically that there's a clash of styles, I don't know. Morning, Alfie. But whenever I've watched them, I found it really a frustrating watch, I've got to say. There's been a lot of sort of dark arts that have been employed, which I'd be honest with you, I guess I'm being a little bit hypocritical. Because when our players sort of do that sort of thing, and if we sort of manage to get the win, then I sort of go, the ends justifies the means sort of thing. But when it's sort of like Brentford do seem to sort of push that sort of narrative quite strongly. But that's just the way I view it, Ben. That's just the way I think that I'll be honest. For my money, whilst they haven't pulled up trees this season, I did think that the loss of Ivan Toney would be a bigger dent to them this season than has proved to be the case. There's been a few other guys that have really sort of stepped up to the plate.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think I kind of agree with you, Rob. It seems whenever we've played Brentford since they've been promoted, it is a bit of a stalemate of a game and won by the odd goal. It doesn't ever seem to be a particularly great game of football. So hopefully that changes today, and we come on the right side of the result, because football changes very quickly, and all of a sudden, after 3 losses on the spin, winning during the week, we're going into this with a bit of confidence now.
Absolutely. If anybody's interested in the officials, they are currently scrolling across the bottom of the screen. You can read it. I'm fairly confident, so I don't really need to go through that too much. So, yeah, I mean, so let's get into their key player or players, because there might be more than one. I mean, I've got my thoughts on who I think we need to be keeping a very close watch on, but what's your thoughts on it?
Do you know what, mate? I don't. Let's say Brentford are one of them teams that, other than Tony, they haven't got it's not like they've got star players across the team. They're just a good, in midfield. They seem to have a feel like these Danish lads that are just fairly good little technicians and things like that. But just looking at the table, I actually think their key player is Ben Mee. Yeah,
Okay.
I genuinely do think that they've only conceded 12 goals this season, so I'm not going for an attacking player. I think if we need to get out of it, we need to get a positive result. We need to try and get past their defence, and I think he's a key component of that. We've conceded, I think, 16 goals. They've conceded 12, so that's showing you they've got a better defensive record than us for a reason. So I think we've really got to try and go out and attack them. How about you?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, just before I get into that, just to say to the guys in the live chat, if you want to sort of give your thoughts on the questions as we go along, please feel free. We'll get as many of them up as we can. My thoughts on the opposition player, I wasn't expecting Ben Mee. I got to be honest with you, bruv. I was expecting a more offensively minded player. And this is a bit route one, I guess, because this is the guy that really has stepped up to the mark in the absence of Ivan Toney. And I'll be honest, it's not as if he wasn't sort of like performing with Ivan Toney in the team, far from it. But he seems to have brought a little bit of something extra to his game in Toney's absence, and that's Bryan Mbeumo. In all competitions this season, he's played 12 matches. He has 6 goals and 2 assists to his name, which I think is quite outstanding. And I'm not being funny. I'm not trying to be do Brentford down, but let's be honest, they're punching well above their weight by just being in the Premier League. And a lot of the players that they've got around them, they're not sort of star names. They're not like your, dare I say it, Declan Rice's, your Mohamed Salah's, your sort of those sort of players, your Kevin De Bruyne's. They're not those sort of players. If you was to stop the average man in the street who was not a Brentford fan and said to them, name me 3 or 4 Brentford players, he'd probably go Ivan Toney, Bryan Mbeumo, and then they'd start to struggle unless they really knew sort of Premier League football. But the average man in the street would probably struggle. So the fact that he's managed to sort of like have that output, I think is absolutely sensational. Just one other thing to say, intermittently on the ticker at the bottom, it will change and there'll be little facts that will be scrolling across. So please keep your eye out for them, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, I mean, Bryan Mbeumo is the guy that I think he's managed to find in Ivan Toney's out. Now, whether it's because he's playing a slightly different role and he's got more responsibility on his shoulders, or whether he's just, he's just sort of just stepped on a pace, I don't know. But he's stepped out of the shadow, if you will, of Ivan Toney, and I do sort of wonder, how much they've actually missed him this season, which is a crazy thing to say because this is a guy that they're saying that they've slapped £100 million price tag on. But I'm looking at it and going, they really don't seem to have missed him.
Well, do you know what, Rob? It's a little bit like us and Declan Rice, isn't it? Like sometimes, or nearly every time a team loses their best player, somehow life just moves on, and sometimes you get better as a team. Look at Tottenham and Harry Kane. Like,
Yes.
you know, they're sitting top of the league, 5 points clear, and they lost their star man. And similar to us with Declan Rice, I think, you know, I agree with you, Rob. And what I do like about Brentford and BREWHU is that he was in the Championship with them. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, there's a fella here that's come in, proved himself, cut his teeth in the Premiership, Championship, come up, and he's improving every year. So, you know, fair play. And you only have to look at a few of the players that they lost when they was in the Championship. Ollie Watkins, Said Benrahma. Do you know what I mean? Like if they'd have kept them, you know, they've done well to. They're a bit like a Brighton in the respect some players will move on, but they've got a good recruitment system and they'll bring players equally as good in.
Yep, absolutely. Just before we go on to the next question, I'm just going to go through some missing players detail. We obviously know from our side of things we're going to be missing Edson Alvarez and Lucas Paquetá due to suspension. There was a whisper from the main man David Moyes himself that Kurt Zouma he's struggling with a knock, so whether he's going to be available, I don't know, but I have a suspicion he will play him because I've heard many times about players who are touch and go, and then lo and behold, they start the match. As far as Brentford are concerned, they've got quite an injury lineup. They've got Rico Henry, Kevin Schade, Josh Silva, Mikael Damsgaard, Shandon Baptiste, Keane Lewis Potter, all out with injuries of one way, shape, or form, and obviously Ivan Toney himself. So I look at this, Ben, and I don't know about you, and some of those players, they're first team players. They're not sort of like reserves. They're not backup players, all of them. I mean, Rico Henry is an absolute starter, no problem at all. Mikael Damsgaard. These are sort of like players that they rely quite heavily upon, and they're all out. So I look at that and I go, now surely that's an advantage for us, wouldn't it?
Yes, mate. Yeah, I think so. I think it's never going to be an easy game, but like I say, the fact that they've got a few injuries, we've got we're off the back of a really good win in the week, and I think the win during the week is a real bit of food for thought. And I don't know if we'll come on to this maybe in a bit more detail, but the experiment of putting Bowen up front, well, this week is where the experiment has really you've started to think this could work now, you know, because he's dabbled with it, but he dabbled with it, and we might have won, but you know, that was against a lesser team in Europe, and Bowen didn't score, and it was just but against Arsenal, you looked at that and thought this could be the way forward now, because Antonio's not doing the business, and I think Bowen set the tone with his work rate, and all of a sudden that infects throughout the team, and we're getting around Arsenal, so we need to do the same today.
Absolutely. Well, I'm guessing that you've kind of given the game away on the next question that I'm going to ask. Which West Ham player will be the key to a positive result? So I'm guessing you're probably leaning towards Jarrod Bowen. But okay, if not Jarrod Bowen, and feel free to expand upon the reasons why Jarrod Bowen, but is there any other players as well as him?
Oh no, Rob. Like most things, it's not just going to be one player that leads to us getting a good result. But I just think whether Antonio comes back in or not, I would say he probably shouldn't, unless Moyes thinks that either one of the other front three should get a rest. But fuck me, we've just put 3 past one of the best teams in the league, and I think we should continue with that front three. So I actually think from an attacking point of view, it's absolutely Bowen and Kudus. They're both off the back of scoring in the week. They're going to be really confident. And I think them two in an attacking sense. And defensively, I'd just love us to get a clean sheet. You know, I think Mavropanos has potentially played his way into the starting lineup, especially with the suspensions. You might be able to get him in the side. So yeah, that would be good as well.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna slightly concur with you. I might even be controversial when I say this, but I think that even if Kurt Zuma is fit, I would not bring him back in to the starting lineup. That's just me. Now, that's quite a controversial statement, I think, when you consider he is the club captain. I happen to believe, be of the opinion that so far, I don't think that when it's been really needed in the tough times, that I don't really see that I've seen much in the way of leadership from Kurt Zuma. Now, I might be being really harsh, but like I say, for me, the key moment was the game against Everton. We'd lost the previous 2 games, and that was the moment when a captain really needs to stand up and be counted. I didn't see that on the pitch against Everton. That's just my observation. I also don't happen to think that having a centre-back who, when he's moving, looks like he's either got concrete boots on or he's injured, one or the other. I really don't see how your teammates can really have confidence in you. Do you know what I mean? It's like if they're all looking at him and going, he looks like he's fucked. It's like, that's no good. I don't think so. Personally, I think I would keep Mavropanos in the starting 11 alongside Aguirre, even if Zuma's fit.
Yeah, it's. I'm not saying I disagree with you. However, knowing what Moyes is like, Moyes is pretty loyal, isn't he? You know, we've seen it with the likes of Souček and Antonio, and I think if Moyes has said Zuma's my captain, he ain't really going to drop him unless he needs to and he's injured or whatever. So, but I actually think, you know, we haven't looked great defensively this season, and I actually think with the suspensions, I think it could see us go to 3 centre halves and wing backs today, and this might be a bit of an alternative one, is that I think maybe Zuma joins Mavropanos in a back 4, and I'd be tempted to put a Gerd in central defensive midfield in place of Alvarez. He's got that passing range. Okay. He's a good passer, and I think we could easily go into a back 3, and when we're in possession, a Gerd slips into midfield to beef it up. I think that could be a good formation for us today.
Okay, well, since we're talking about starting personnel, that is actually the next question. Give me a bit more detail then, Ben. Expand upon what you've said. So give me your full starting 11, your formation. I mean, it should also be noted, just in case anyone that's watching isn't sort of fully aware of how Brentford normally line up. They normally deploy a 3-5-2 formation. That's Thomas Frank's default setting. So are you saying you'd look to possibly match them up, 3-5-2, something along those lines?
Yeah, it probably wouldn't be. Yeah, no, I don't think we'd go for a 3-5-2 because generally we don't generally play 2 up front. So I'm thinking what we might go with, and what I'd be tempted to go with is more of a fluid 3-4-3 formation from our point of view. So I'd be, considering we've leaked goals this season. When that's happened in previous seasons, Moyes' go-to solution has been to get another centre half and shore up the back 4. And I think the starting back 2 has been obviously Agurd and Zuma. Mavropanos is coming on Wednesday and really looked the part. So I think get the 3 of them in there, really make that back defensive line really solid. So I'm going to say Areola in goal. I'm going to say 3 centre halves: Agurd, Zuma, Mavropanos. I'm then going to say Kufal and Emerson as wing backs, and they've got the opportunity to bomb forward more because you've got 3 at the back. I'm going to say Souček and Ward-Prowse in the middle, and then I'm going to say Bowen up front with Kudus on the right and Ben Rama on the left. And I think, I think that's a decent. And also, when we're in possession and we want to try and dominate a little bit more, I'd say Aged can slip into midfield because he's got the security of having Mavropanos and Zuma behind him. And I think, we've criticised Zuma on this Agurd on this channel a little bit, but I do think he is a silky operator and a classy footballer, and I think he has got the ability to slip into midfield and ping some passes around. So I think with the absences that we've got, that is a decent side. Whether it's got you're probably lacking a little bit of creativity in there because Paqueta's out. But I think based on the squad available, that is probably the best that I can think of.
Okay. Well, I'll get my starting 11. As I say, guys, if you want to get yours in, I'll just answer this question because I've just seen it from Darren. I've not forgotten about him, but I just think that when he's had the opportunity, and Ben's alluded to this, he has had a couple of opportunities to come in and make a claim for a first team spot. And unfortunately, and I love Pablo Fornals, but he's not done enough to grab that opportunity with both hands and shake it for all it's worth. He just hasn't. So my 11 now we need to separate this off as always. This is what I would like to see, as opposed to what I think we will see. Okay, and I've got my prediction of what David Moyes will select in a moment. But as far as what my 11 would be, my formation, I'd probably go a little bit old school. I would actually go with a 4-diamond-2 formation, right? So I'd go Areola in goal. I would go with a back 4 from left to right: Emerson, Aguirre, Mavropanos, and Kufal. I would have Tilo Kehrer as the CDM. I would have in central mid, I would have James Ward-Prowse, who would actually have the captain's armband, alongside Thomas Souček. And then just ahead of them, in a roaming role, completely free, go where you can do the most damage, Mohamed Kudus. And he would play behind a front 2 of Jared Bowen and Divine Mubama. That would be my 11. We're not going to fucking see that. I know we're not going to fucking see that. We're just not, because
if we see that starting 11,
no, it's not happening. It's not happening.
If we see that starting 11, I'll transfer you £1,000.
Yeah. I mean, I know we're not going to see it, so I will get that out the way. If anyone's sitting there going, we're not going to see that, I know. I'm being asked what my 11 would be. I'm in the hot seat. I'm picking the fucking players, not Moyes. He's off down the fucking Kermit. We've got rid of him. So all you lot that are sort of like saying Moyes out, and that's fine. You've got your wish. I'm now in charge. Oh God, bring back Moyes. So yeah, that would be my. I mean, I would like to go with 2 strikers.
Well, I've got to be honest, Rob. Can I just say one thing? Having listened to your 11, I'm fucking glad Moyes is in charge, because that team would get beat fucking 6-0.
No, don't believe it. Don't believe it. I'll tell you that now. I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a minute. And here's the reason why. You've got Mohamed Kudus, who's got his confidence up. And as I say, he's in a free role. He is literally buzzing all around. He is causing chaos. The centre-backs don't know whether to pick him up. The full-backs don't know whether to pick him up. The central midfielders don't know whether to pick him up. He's going all over the show. He's just causing absolute chaos. You've got Bowen, again, his confidence is sky high. He's sort of like dropping bombs. You've got Mubama, physical presence up top. How many times do centre-backs have two strikers to deal with? They don't. So when they come across it, they haven't got a fucking clue what to do. You've got Thilo Kehrer, German international. He can play in CDM. We've not seen him there, but I honestly believe he could. Mavropanos in there. He's strong, leadership, organisation. I think Aguirre looks better alongside Mavropanos. I know it's a small sample size, but I just think that alongside Mavropanos, Aguirre has that confidence to sort of stride out with the ball and play those passes like he did for Kudus' goal the other night. Whereas I think against Zuma, maybe he sort of kind of knows that there's certain deficiencies that he can't quite play the way that he does with Zuma alongside him, that he does with Mavropanos, with a little bit more freedom, a little bit more license to sort of go forwards. I honestly believe you put that 11 out, right, and they are on sort of like on decent form. I'll tell you now, that will cause Brentford problems, big time. But we're not going to see
it. Yeah.
So.
So I'm intrigued. What you know? Go on, Rob. What do you think Moyes is going to put out?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, Ben. Here's something I prepared earlier. I think the only position that I really had to think long and hard about, what's he going to do here, was on the left of the offensive midfield three. And I've gone with Saeed Benrahma for the simple reason that I think that he works bloody hard against Arsenal, which I think that Moyes would have appreciated. Now, the choices you've got to put there, other than Benrahma, is Maxwell Cornet and Pablo Fornals. And for differing reasons, I just don't see Moyes going with them. So I think that possibly he has to go with Benrahma. I don't think he's got realistically, any other choice. I mean, we could sit here, you and I, and we obviously have our opinions on the youth setup, and we could possibly make a case for Ollie Scholes or someone like that to sort of like get an opportunity. But we know that David Moyes won't. And as I say, that particular piece is me in David Moyes' shoes, not me as me doing David Moyes' job, if you catch my drift. So I think that is probably the one position where I sort of went. I think everything else pretty much takes care of itself. As I say, there's a question mark over Zuma, but I think he plays. I think the same as you, he is not dropping his captain 11 games into his tenure. He just isn't. So I think Zuma comes in. I think that pretty much everything else is sort of pretty standard. He's not going to change formation. He's going to go with what he knows, I think. But we'll see. I mean, obviously the teams are announced at 2 p.m. to this afternoon, and all will be revealed then. So let's get on to the final piece of the jigsaw. Give me your score prediction.
Do you know what, Rob? Right, I do. I feel like, and look, in my starting 11, But I feel if we play that starting 11 that you feel Moyes puts out, I think we get beat. Like, I'm sorry, I don't like to say that, but if Antonio's up front, I don't think we win, because I feel like those stinking performances have got to fucking stop. I think your tone. You look at, say, Liverpool. Their intensity starts from Mo Salah. Do you know what I mean? And then that work rate spreads throughout the team. I think if Antonio's up top, I think we're going to lose, and I feel like that's because we won't score a goal if he's up there. I genuinely don't. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, based on the last few games. But I think if we stick with broadly the same lineup from Wednesday, but just tweaking it a little bit, I think if we go with that front three, Bowen, Kudus, Benrahma, we got a real chance of beating them. Do you know what I mean? And I'd say maybe 2-1, 2-0. Because I think, look, we need Benrahma. His confidence has been low, but that performance on Wednesday, I think, keep him in the side, build his confidence back up.
Yep.
So I think in my opinion, keep Benrahma in there, keep Bowen in there, keep Kudus in there. Antonio hasn't done anything to warrant being back in the team at the moment.
I agree.
So I'd save him. So I'm going to say 2-1, but I'm going to have to reserve judgment until I see the starting 11, because, I think if Antonio's leading the line, I don't think we'll win.
Hand on heart, though, do you think that Antonio will lead the line?
No, I don't, mate. I genuinely think, the performance and the result on Wednesday, we've just put 3 past Arsenal, right? Surely the penny's got to drop. We've just put 3 past Arsenal with this front 3. For the last 3-4 games with that person, and I'm not being, I'm not digging him out, but with Antonio leading the line, we've looked toothless up front. Fuck me, it's staring you in the face what he needs to do. So I think, if he keeps that front 3, I think we win.
What's the score? 2-3-0. Did you say 2-0?
Well, no, I'm going to say it's our first clean sheet in the Premier League, 2-0, and the Star Boys, the Tango and Cash of East London, Kudus and Bowen, to bang 1 each.
I'm gonna go 1-1, which I don't think is a bad point. Let me be brutally honest. I mean, we've not managed to get a single point off of Brentford in the 4 previous Premier League meetings we've had since they got promoted. So I don't see us keeping a clean sheet, regrettably, because I've just got used to us not keeping clean sheets. I thought we had one the other night against Arsenal, and then fucking Odegaard pops up in the 96th minute. I mean, the game was done by then, so it was like, who gives a shit? But it would have been quite nice to get a clean sheet against a sort of Premier League title contender, Champions League team. And we didn't manage to do that. And like I say, it's a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy that we won't keep a clean sheet. And it's a little bit frustrating, because it's like, I thought defensively we were excellent against Arsenal, and we still didn't manage to keep a clean sheet. What the fuck have you got to do? So I don't see us keeping a clean sheet. But however, I think that with the guys up top, hopefully, if the guys that we think ought to play do, in Bowen, in Kudus, whether you would go Benrahma or Antonio, I think that's the one that's a little bit up in the air. Is he going to go one way or the other? But certainly the first 2, Kudus and Bowen, I mean, they showed real glimpses of a partnership, a burgeoning partnership that's starting to evolve and develop. And the last thing I would want would be for fucking David Moyes to turn around and go that he's got to, and let's be honest, if he's going to drop one of the 2 of them, it's going to be the less established one. So it would be, I'll take Kudus out, we'll put another defensive-minded player in. Fuck off. Seriously. No, I'd just have the right ump with that. keep those two in. A bit like what you said about Benrahma. You could see that, you know, his confidence has taken a dip. He had a decent game against Arsenal. Okay, maybe more in a defensive capacity for a lot of it, but you know, it's one of those. You know, he's going to take his confidence whichever way he can. So keep that confidence going, keep him in the team, and the same thing with this partnership between Bowen and Kudus. You know, there's that understanding, and that's only going to improve with game time. All the time on the training pitch is fine. It's all very well and good, but it's in Premier League matches and cup matches that understanding in pressure moments where they sort of like they have to make a split-second decision. You know, that's where they're really going to develop that understanding to the best ability that they can, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, I agree, mate. Yeah, Kudus has started the last two games. He's eased him in nicely. The easing in period is over now, and now
Agreed.
It's time for him to be starting pretty much every game, unless he needs a little bit of a rest. So, like we say, we all totally agree with you. Kudus and Bowen should be nailed on, and it's just who partners him in the three. And I think
Okay, well, I think we're pretty much done then, Ben. Any final thoughts before we knock it on the head?
No, mate. Just obviously great result during the week. Let's try and build the confidence back up. You know, I'd love us to win, but I'd be happy with a point just to get the ball rolling in the league again. But yeah, hopefully we see a good attack inside.
Sorry, I think your internet was playing around there, Ben. You were going a little bit Norman Collier, I'm afraid, but I think we got the gist of it. Right, guys, thanks for your time. And please don't forget, as always, to like, comment on and share this stream to your socials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Hit the bell icon for alerts of new content. And don't forget to click all. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this endeavor. And I think his internet's finally given up the ghost. It was hanging on for a grim death at the end there, wasn't it? But we got there in the end. Guys, thanks for joining us. Stay safe. Come on, you Irons. We've got a quiz going on at 12:30. Please join us for that. And I'm toying with the idea of doing a watch along. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But if I do, please feel free to join us for that. You'd be more than welcome along. And please don't forget to give your support to the Iron Supporting Food Banks charity. And we'll see you next time. Take care. The West Ham Massive are pleased to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham fans and friends inspired by the work of other football food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for Newham Food Bank in Beckton, who supplies 7 distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thanks for your support. Come on, you Irons.